Hi, I am Rene and I'm welcoming you back to this channel where you can learn a lot of tango. This channel is dedicated to teach you how to move in tango. If this is your first time here, please take a moment to review all the previous classes, all the previous videos that we have loaded to our channel. They are going to give you a lot more guidance to where we are in this lesson today. If you have been coming to our lessons, excellent for you. Today we're going to keep working in doing some fun stuff with the forward ochos, which is a very interesting and easy tool. We can make very simple ochos, but then we can transform them into more complex and beautiful movements that, still being complex, they're not that difficult to make. But before I start, as usual, I want to thank everybody that is supporting me and supporting us, Tango Brillante DC, during all this time. Thank you so very much. It's so very important for us, not only me or Tango Brillante, it's important for every artist out there in these times of crisis. We have a wonderful light at the end of the tunnel. We have started the ending of this crisis, but still we have to take care of ourselves. And that's the reason why we are here. We would like you to stay home, to still take care of yourselves. We're going to be back sooner or later. You just have to be patient, okay? That's the reason why we're creating these interesting videos. We're creating so much content. You have the podcast. I presented a podcast yesterday, and it talks about the life of Horacio Salgan, who was a very, very interesting pianist. If you have not heard it, please go to my podcast. You can look for the directions in our Facebook page if you're not familiar with it. And also tonight in our regular virtual milonga, we're going to have our guest DJ, Rachel Sumner, and she's going to be talking about the women involved in the writing, in the music of tango, ever since the inauguration of tango, more than 100 years ago. It's going to be a very, very nice experience, and with this event, we're celebrating Women's Day. So come celebrate with us all the tangueras in our lives, okay? So, that said, we're going to start by, first, as I usually do, the leaders. At this part, leaders, I want you to just, not only memorize the steps that you have to make, I want you to try to also realize how we are switching the direction of our dance, because that is going to give you more than just the movement. It's going to help you a lot managing the space that you have and the direction that you're going. Don't forget, you're always going counterclockwise. And that is something that we as leaders have to take care of. We cannot just expect the follower checking out and like back leading us in order to show us where to go. Which, women are very careful of that. They're always, like feeling if they're going to hit something with their bodies. We are a little bit more, how can I say, distracted about that. Because we have to think of other things. The lead, the embrace, a lot of things, right? But it's very important for you to realize, like exactly when the same thing that when you're driving, what's happening on your left, what is happening on your right, what's happening behind you, what's happening in front of you. You cannot just drive looking forward. You have to be aware of everything. So in that same way, I want to use all your senses to realize how can you move around, okay? So see, the line of dance is going that way. So I'm going to start facing this direction. So I'm going against the traffic. So for this, I'm going to practice this by heart. I want to explain to you first the foundations of the step. We're going to take basic step until the crossing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I finished number 5 with my right foot, but I'm not going to completely switch my weight there. I lead the number 5, and then with that same foot, I'm going to walk back. When I walk back, I'm going to move my leg first. See, I displace my leg first, I create the space, and then I invite her to come forward. I'm going to do the same thing with my other leg. A little bit what we did last week, but we're not spinning now. Now, the wonderful part is going to happen right after this ocho. That was her first ocho. This is her second ocho. Look what I'm going to do with this foot. I step forward and I'm going to make a sacada. She walks, she's walking this way, and I'm going to lead her into another forward ocho, and then I do another sacada, and that is going to allow me to spin to finish 6, 7, 8. This, forget about the steps. I have probably used some terms that you didn't even understand. What I want you to focus is how we moved from going from this direction to this direction. Okay? Doing very simple things. Now, I'm going to repeat and I'm going to explain what a sacada is. I'm going to take a basic step, I'm going to move a little bit more behind, and I'm going to make enormous steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here, forward ocho. We have to lead the forward ocho. So my torso is right going that direction. I'm holding my dance partner. So she understands that we're going to walk that way. I have to uncross her leg. See how I'm moving my torso? And I'm going to invite her to come with me. But first I have to create the space. If I don't move my foot immediately after I arrive to the number 5, she's going to hit my foot and she's going to feel very uncomfortable. So I have to try to make that step always long. The second one, the same thing. My torso is moving. In order to move your torsos and in order to practice just this by your own, don't think of moving your torso, moving your chest. I want you to move your hips. See, I'm going to rotate my hips because my embrace is with her. So if I move my hips from my core lower, not my chest, then it feels completely different. So I have to invite her to come to the other side, and I create a space and I go with her. In the same fashion that I did in the number 5, I'm going to use once again my torso, and I'm inviting her to make a forward step in front of me. The sacada is basically, I'm going to move her away from that space and I'm going to use it. So she's going in a forward step here, and I'm going to step closer to the foot that she's leaving behind, in between her feet, but I am going that way. See, that is my direction. My sacada is going in a diagonal line. After this sacada, she's walking with her right foot forward, and I step next to her left foot. And then she's going to come forward again because I'm leading her. Look how my chest is going that way, and then invites her to come once again. This time she's walking with her left foot forward, and she's going to leave the right behind. So I'm going to do a sacada with my other foot. I'm going to spin, I'm going to hold the movement there for a second, and then I'm going to keep going towards the wall, towards the tables. 6, 7, and 8. So the shape of this movement is a little bit like this. I go number 5, I come back, I do sacadas, and I come back. I want you to have in your heads that shape of a movement. Chum, 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 chum. Okay? Now, sacada. What do I mean by move her out? We have to make sure that we understand the movement, not just the term of the sacada. For that, I want you to go back, probably the 10th lesson, when we tried to do this by ourselves as an exercise. Look how I'm walking in front of my other foot, but then I'm going to spin. In order to create that movement that is, if you see the movement again, I'm going to do it again. See, I'm taking that direction. I'm walking in front of my other foot. But at some point, you're going to feel like how I'm leaving my leg behind. That leaving my leg behind is called disassociation. What do I mean by disassociation? Is I'm breaking the association in between my upper body and my lower body. My upper body moves first. I'm here, I'm going to do this in slow motion so you can understand what it's all about. I step here and I'm transferring my weight, and by what part of my body is moving when I'm transferring my weight? My right ankle is pushing, is propelling me forward. So I step with the energy of my core, and then look at my right foot. My right foot is doing this. Whoa. See how my ankle, the muscles around my ankle are pushing me forward. Okay? The moment that push forward, that energy is created, when it's sent, I'm going to start moving my torso. Boom. So it's kind of like I want to look with the corner of my eye to my toe. And that creates a movement that it's delaying my lower body. So it feels like I am unfolding the movement, that I'm moving like in a spiral. Look the difference if I just move as a block. I mean, I can do that because I have very good balance and I can spin. Most likely is if you do this, you're going to lose your balance here, okay? Not only that, when you do this association, you end up feeling a lot more the movement that you're making. Your body understands a little bit better. However, you're training your body to go with a delay, and that delay is making sense with the music. I want you to connect the movement now with the music. For a second, when I'm practicing just like that, for a second I'm moving here and I look. I mean, I'm not looking there, but my peripheral vision is looking. It has a sight, a flash sight of my foot before I spin. So, in order to achieve that flexibility, that ability to do this, you as a leader, I want you to practice forward ochos, but trying to do this. See, I'm going that way, I'm walking with this foot, and I go in slow motion. See how I'm like making an effort. I walk, I push with my ankle, and I'm leaving that line very nice. And then I start spinning. And for a second, I can see my I can see my foot. Now the idea also is to have balance. If you can't manage your balance, your sacadas are not going to be led correctly, because not only that you have to take care of your balance, you have to take care of the balance of your dance partner. Okay? So it's very important for you to practice. Don't have that urgency that you have to rush the movement. Take your time. See, when I'm practicing this by myself, you can use a pillow, you can use a gym ball, a Pilates ball. The idea is that you feel that your torso is doing something different than your feet. Now, although I'm asking you to use the muscles in your ankles, around your ankles, we're also using the muscles in the midsection of our body. I'm pulling from there in order to create that pivot. So what do I mean by that? I arrive here, I use the muscles around my ankle. Now, in order to do the pivot, I am not moving my shoulders, because that is going to knock me off of my balance. So I have to use my guts, your core, the muscles in your around your abdomen. You're using your obliques, you're using your abs in order to do this. See how you can hear how, because I'm tensing my muscles, that because of that tension, the air is expelled from my lungs. Ugh! That's because your muscles are working. So when that happens, keep doing it. That's correct. At the end, see, because you are arriving with a very relaxed body, you can see I'm placing the side of my shoe on the ground. That is looking elegant, but still is helping me to keep stable. It's not switching my weight, which would like completely make my dance partner lose her balance, but I'm holding it there up until I go to the next one. And I try to use just, when I mean use the muscles in your midsection, you can practice this if you cannot find those muscles. Spread your feet a little bit longer than the width of your shoulders, and then try to move your hips. See, my right hip is going to go that way, and my left over there. So, when you find, and see, I'm not moving my shoulders, I'm just rotating my hips from one side to the other. This simple exercise is going to give you the hint of which muscles are used in this little movement. So, provided that we understand now how to do the sacada, I'm going back to explain what is happening in this set of movements that we're doing. I'm actually going to use the pillow here so you can see how my torso is moving. Right before I start, I want to always remind you that when you're not even moving, you embrace your dance partner, you have to make sure that your posture is correct. That means that I'm going to be standing, my feet together, my quadriceps active, my calves active, my glutes active, my chest completely, my abdomen completely opened, and my body tilted forward, like almost on my toes. And from there, I'm going to take the first 8 steps of a basic step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I make her uncross her feet. I am walking here. In order to move my leg, I'm using my glutes. And then I'm opening the gate so she can walk. See how while she's walking, I'm still elongating more. In the next one, the same thing, but I have to move her first. See how like I'm holding that foot there. It's kind of like I'm grabbing the ground. I move her and then I elongate that leg and I make her walk that direction. In the same way she walks, I hold this foot. Now, holding here is not a bad thing, but you want to have movement. So my suggestion is you make her walk. As soon as she arrives, you can do a curl. See how I'm moving my torso and I'm moving my leg. I make her walk. She walks that forward step, and my torso is going towards the window and my foot is going behind me. And then I invite her to go forward, and that is when I'm going to do the first sacada. Sacada. See how slow I'm going. In the next one, I move my torso and I invite her to walk forward again. And I do the second sacada. Sacada. And then I pivot. You have seen how long that pivot went. And then I finish going towards the window again. 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Let's try that again. I'm going to just flow with the movement. I'm not going to explain anything. Very simple. That movement doesn't have hidden parts. It's so very clear what is happening. Now, let's compare what our feet are doing with the feet of the ladies. The blue stick is the left leg. The other one is the right leg. So I'm going to take a basic step and I go 2, 3, 4. I lead the number 5. Even here, see, you lead the number 5, and you can, instead of stepping and go to the forward step, you can make a little bit of an embellishment while you're leading her to uncross her feet. And then, see, she's walking with her right foot. Then I'm going to move that left foot to come follow me in the next step. I lead her again, and I'm leading her to go that way. We're kind of like coming back. Don't lead her here because that's not going to work very good. So I lead her there, and see how I'm stepping closer to the foot that she's leaving behind. In this case, that foot is the left foot. So after this, because I'm moving my torso, that is creating her forward ocho as well. Now, here, I'm going to lead her over there, kind of like very close to me, but in a straight line of her direction, right in front of her other foot. And I'm going to step closer to the leg that she's leaving behind. In this case, she's leaving the right behind. So I go here, and I'm going to pivot a lot. And I'm going to hold her right leg for a little bit. And then I finish 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Probably the ladies that are watching this part, they are already, thinking, I can do certain things like the stick is doing, right? So think about that. Let's do it one more time, a little bit more fluid. I'm going to show the other side. As you can tell, the exercise is pretty simple. It doesn't have any secret, any difficult. I mean, there are certain parts that it's very hard to understand. You have to practice first. But once again, this exercise does not require a lot of knowledge. It's simple. All you have to do is practice a little bit. Okay? Don't forget that as leaders, if you are not planted, if you don't have a really good posture, if you're looking at what your feet are doing, you're never going to be able to move from, from being okay to like really become a good dancer. That's the reason why I want you to, whenever I explain to you, I'm not focusing on my feet, I'm focusing more on what we're doing up here. So remember that all these movements you're doing, leading and moving from your core, from your upper body, more than what you're doing with your feet. Your feet are doing very interesting and very fun, elegant movements, but don't focus too much in those, okay? Once again, if you want to know more about how to move your feet, how to move your ankles, how to develop flexibility in your feet, go back a few lessons, and there's a lot of information of how to do that in this virtual series. So now let's focus on what the ladies have to do. Ladies, there's a lot of wonderful things to learn, so be prepared. There is nothing better than today to a lesson and teach the ladies with the wonderful music of Carlos Di Sarli, and this is a wonderful song. It's called A la Gran Muñeca, to the beautiful doll-like woman, and dedicated to all the women in our tango. So a big hug for you. Hold that energy that you probably want to express. You want to dance, you want to do a lot of things. We're going to be together soon, and we're going to celebrate everything. We're going to celebrate a year. We have a year of celebration, so just hold on, okay? Once again, I always am talking about how important is the embrace, how you need to never let go of the embrace. And this particular step is not going to work if you're not really connected with your dance partner. Even if you, and by that, I don't mean only close embrace. When you're opening the embrace, I'm always asking to look at the left shoulder of the leaders, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that I want you to just like look in just one direction. You have to observe all the things that the leader is doing, but even that is a good connection. In the open embrace, you can't have a connection with your body, so it's more a visual connection. Your eyes are connecting. So, and when we close the embrace, everything is going to become a lot easier, but a little bit different because you're going to start feeling. It's different to see something from afar and a different thing to touch the texture of things, to like have the feeling of it, and even more interestingly, to have to be in touch with something that it's moving, that has life. That's the leader, believe it or not. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to talk about, that you have to be very, very patient. You have to feel what the leader is doing with his body and then react to that. As you know, it's a very different perspective. I am asking the leaders to anticipate whatever is going to happen. They have to open the door and then go. In your case, is you have to make sure that the space is completely clear and then you go. Okay? Sometimes you have heard me say that that's kind of like fashionably late. It's like you make the leader work hard with his lead. Wait, and then move like in slow motion. Don't just try to move your feet. If you try to move your feet, then, you know, anticipation happens, disconnection happens, loss of balance happens. So, first, connection. Now, you need to know what to do, and you need to know when things are going to happen. And that's the reason why I'm going to explain now the exercises that you have to go. We're doing forward ochos. And in the same way that I explained the gentleman, the forward ochos are just forward ochos. However, you have to make forward ochos the right way. And after that, you don't have to do anything different. So let's see first when the ochos are happening. The leader is going to take you to the basic the basic step, but he's going to stop in the number 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. From here, you're going to make 1 forward step, forward ocho, second forward ocho, third forward ocho, fourth forward ocho, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Believe it or not, it feels like you're doing a lot more, but it's just 4 forward ochos. Okay? Now, when we talk about forward ochos, don't forget that the forward ocho needs to have this association. In the same way that I asked the gentleman to do the forward ocho, you have to do it. And you know, in your case, it looks a lot better. It's more beautiful because women are beautiful. So when that is happening, your body is like going kind of like unfolding itself part by part. Bum, bum, bum. First let's call it your shoulders, then your hips, and then your feet are moving. What do I mean by that? Let's say I'm going to do this in front of the camera. I finished to do the forward, the number 5. And I'm going to take my first forward step. I'm going to go way over there, which is not happening, but I want you to feel in my body that disassociation. Look how my hips are already going that way. That is already a very nice disassociation. So I walk in the same way that I asked the leaders to do. I arrive with my heel here, and then I'm going to push the ground to propel my body forward. See, I'm not moving any other part in my body other than the muscles around my ankle, my left ankle. And then I'm going to, in your case, it's a lot easier as a follower because you're going to feel how the leader is taking you there. All you have to do is let that happen, make that pivot, and in order to help you hold your balance, try to lift your hip. I know that so many teachers teach you to never move your hips, never do this, never do that. In the pivot, bend your knees. The way that I'm doing tango is a little bit more evolved. Still, I love the connection of the old school tango, but now we have a lot more elements. We have more knowledge from how to connect with our axis. That's the reason why I want you to be very active with your hip, because if you keep in the pivot, after the pivot, once again, doing this in the way that I'm suggesting you to do, propelling yourself, if you go and you don't lift your hip, you're going to be very heavy against the leader. And that is very difficult to control. So that's the reason a lot of you probably say, but this other instructor is telling me not to move my hips. I'm giving you the reason why I'm asking you to lift that hip. That lifting the hip is kind of like you're finding your own balance, like doing this. I cannot stay here to hold my balance because I'm going to fall. So this is your hip. Okay, I want you to have that in mind. So let's go back. We walk forward, I propel with my ankle, and then I'm feeling that the leader is carrying my body. So I'm going to go there. When I arrive here, I lift that hip, I'm upwards. My legs trying to always be elongated. When the lead is taking you up, you're going vertical. When the lead is taking you down, you want to go horizontal, right? So in this case, the leader is going to hold it up. So you want to go align vertical. Now, the leader is probably going to take his time, especially when he's learning. So look, I'm going to lift my hip using my obliques, not just using my hip, because that is going to make me lose my balance. I'm going to pull with the muscles of my core, and then see how I call it parking my foot, because it feels like I'm doing something like very nice and elegant. And I wait for the next ocho. I'm going to take the other one in the same way. Elongating my ankle, I raise my body, I'm pivoting, the leader is pivoting me, I follow that, and I'm lifting my hip. Of course, because there's no momentum, my heel is on the ground, the heel of the foot that I am pivoting with. I want you to try to keep your axis always higher. That means your heels off the ground a little bit. And after that, you're doing two other ochos. No matter what is happening, because the leader is stepping in between your legs, don't freak out. That's probably the one thing that I wanted to say. Don't think that it's the end of the world, that the leader is falling over you. I know that it feels that way, especially if the leader is learning how to do this. But when it happens, let that happen. The leader is taking this direction that you're leaving. The leader cannot be in front of you. But, you know, it's a little bit, it feels threatening that the leader comes towards you. But his lead is taking you to one side and he's moving right behind you. And I want you to understand that that is the sacada. He's pushing you away and he is replacing that space, and he's using that space now. He's moving you away and he's taking that place. Okay? So in order that to happen, he needs to kind of like move you and move himself around. around. That's what is happening. So when that is, after the second forward ocho that you're doing, you're going to feel how the leader invites you to go, but you're not changing anything. See, leave that leg, elongate your ankle, and then you're going to feel a very nice pivot. When the leader walks and pivots you, you're going to feel a very nice pivot that is not going down and it's not going up. So you have the ability to dance with that leg. The leg that is not so, the dancing leg, the leg that is not supporting your weight. So what do I mean by that? When you feel that the sacada is happening, the other leg can do things like this. Because it's a long, because the leader is pivoting, it takes him a while to complete that pivot. There is a period of time when the leader is doing this. There's time there. So you can use that time by doing an embellishment. In this case, what I'm doing is this shape on the ground, a little bit like a curl, which we have discussed in previous lessons. So my feet, though, are going one in front of the other. And after that happens, the leader pivots me. My leg I'm doing this in extremely slow motion. So when you feel that the leader moves quickly, you can throw your leg. But then lift it from your core. See how I'm lifting my hip here, and then I'm walking. Okay? Now, if we come back to the exercise, I'm going to do it. The direction of dance is that way. We are going against traffic up until the number 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. The first forward ocho is going towards the leader. Don't feel threatened. Don't feel like you're going to step over him. Elongate your legs. The more that you elongate, the better that the leader is going to want to lead you forward. If you walk like this, just because in your head you feel like you're going to trip over him, you're never going to be able to feel that lead, to do it correctly. So the chest of the leader is moving. If you're dancing in close embrace, you move with that chest. 1 ocho. Then he's going to slightly move you. See here, I'm lifting my hips, but not like my hip like this. I'm pulling with the muscles around my hip, and then I take the next step, forward ocho. Then look how the next forward ocho is switching completely my direction. I'm coming back kind of to the other side. And this is when the first sacada happens. Sacada, sacada, and then we keep going 6, 7, 8. Okay? Let's do that in the other direction. A little bit more fluid. 3, 4, 5. Whoops. Let's do that again. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Now let's play a little bit to know what the leader is doing with his feet. Blue stick, left leg, the other one is the right leg. Let's do it this way first. So we take basic step to the fifth. 2, 3, 4, 5. The leader elongates his leg and creates the space for your first forward ocho. He pivots you a little bit and creates space for the second forward ocho. He's going to make an embellishment that you don't really have to know, and then he's leading you kind of like going backwards. I mean backwards in the sense that you were walking that way, now you're walking the other way. The moment that you walk forward, he is going to walk in between your legs, and this is the moment that I don't want you to freak out. You make another forward ocho, and he's going to step, and then here the pivot is going to be extremely long, and I'm going to hold. See, I am still moving my leg and I'm keeping dancing, and I keep going 6, 7, and 8. Okay, let's do it one more time from the other side. I go to the number 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. First forward ocho. Second forward ocho. Third forward ocho. Fourth forward ocho. The leader is going to probably hold a little bit here, and then he's going to continue 6, 7, 8. I don't really want you to worry too much about the direction. Although probably you're already thinking about, okay, do I have to go that way? Do I have to go that way? That is the job of the leader. All I want you to, for you ladies, is do your forward ochos the best that you can. And whenever I say that, what I mean, make lines. Whenever we're dancing, we have 2 lines that we have to take care of. One is the line of your axis, and the other line is called the line of dance, because you're dancing with that leg. If you keep this leg broken, look, I'm going to do Gene Kelly's movement. It feels like I'm dancing. I'm creating a very nice line, a horizontal line. That's the line of the movement. I'm holding it and I'm going low, and I'm creating a horizontal line of dance. If I break this line, I automatically break the line of my axis, and this doesn't look like Gene Kelly any longer. Okay? If you're just standing here and see that my line of axis is on my right leg, okay, I'm continuing that line. But if I do this, I don't look like a dancer any longer because I'm breaking that line. If you want to have a look from the front, so if you're going down, the leg of that is dancing, your dancing leg should always be completely elongated. And not only elongated, if you want to dance with that leg, you can. During the pivot, okay, so I know that it sounds like I'm teaching you a choreography, to do certain thing when something is happening, at first you can learn how to do that in the precise time. However, eventually that is going to become a part of your muscle memory, and you're going to be able to play with it in other moments. When you find that the pivot is long, oh, I'm still pivoting, so my other leg can do certain things. The more that you start managing how to move certain parts of your body without dragging everything all together. See, before I used to dance, if somebody would call me from behind, René, I would say, what? You know, I was used to move a little bit as in a block, because that's the way you move if you don't understand a lot of things. Dancing allowed me to move, see, use my hand only to go places. Whenever we're talking about dancing, especially tango, I don't know any other dance, but when we're dancing tango, I would like you to think that you're dancing even with your fingers. Even when you're going to the embrace, if you move in a nice way, everybody notices that. And that makes you look like a dancer, that you're organizing your movements. If you take all the passion about dancing, all the tango thing, when you just talk about dancing, think ballet, for example. The movement is, you have like the ladies that dance the Swan Lake, they have to practice this for hours and hours and hours until that movement of the arm looks like a swan, like the wing of a swan, right? And probably for the dancer, it's very boring to keep doing that. But when she is performing, it's like when she combines that with all the production, it feels, oh my God, that is so beautiful. In tango, now let's go back. We add the passion, we add the tango, we add the connection to that, and you know, the spontaneity that tango has to have. And then you're going to realize that it all depends on you. Sometimes, most of the time, all the time, to make everything that you're doing nice, beautiful. All of us have that ability to turn our movements into a beautiful thing. So, if you're curious to know a little bit more about the forward ochos, go back, look for the forward ochos in our previous lessons, like the very basic forward ochos that we did, that I'm going to remind you a little bit. You step, you propel yourself here, and see, I'm going to do a very nice embellishment now. I'm using my shoulders to propel my pivot. And see, I finish with that leg completely elongated. But then, in order to move to the next step, I cannot go from there to the next step. I need to collect first. Once again, we're trying to organize the movement so it looks very aesthetical. So in order to collect my legs, I'm going to lift my center. If I lift my center, I'm already collected. But I want to do more. So I'm going to keep lifting, but just using the muscles in my abdomen. And then I'm going to lift, tap, and then I'm going to, see, my left leg is actually making me go forward. It's pushing, I arrive, the leg rests a little bit, but then my ankle is keeping going. So the ankle gives you the last part of the propulsion that you need. And then I'm going to move my torso, and I'm going to keep dancing with that leg. And I do it again. I go up, I lift my center, using my quadriceps, I'm stretching my leg. When my feet get together, I keep going up using my muscles in my core. I lift my leg and I keep going. Now, the reason why I am, probably a lot of you are questioning yourselves, scratching your heads. Why don't you just move, if you collected, you're here, why don't you just move your foot on the other side and keep going? Why do you have to move from here? If I move my hip upwards, my whole leg is going to keep completely elongated. Look what I'm going to do. I lift my center, I stretch my standing leg, I am able to lift, stretch my ankle, and then go. That process is making, when you create a long line, your dancing becomes more aesthetical to our eyes. So that is what is happening. I am making everything look a lot longer. When that happens, everything visually is going to feel a lot better. Okay? So if you want to practice that over and over, you can do it. I go forward. See, it's like I'm carrying a tray. The first thing I have to remember is to stretch my ankle. And then I'm going to pass this tray to somebody that is behind me. And at the same time, in order not to lose my balance, I'm going to dance. I'm going to, see, I draw kind of like a number 6, but moving at the same time. So let's do it again. I walk forward, I stretch my ankle, I move, and from here I go up until my heels touch each other. I lift my hip, I stretch, and then I bend my knee. And see, you can tell that I am not lifting the heel of my standing foot, because that would be a little bit too much. But if you're dancing, the leader is supporting you. So it's going to be a lot easier to keep even going up. The higher you go, the more elongated you're going to look. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. It's the one thing I don't want you to do is to, if you are like this, you don't look like a dancer. You have to elongate yourself. So provided that we do that, in the next one, elongate my ankle. I'm going to pass the tray to somebody that's behind me, and at the same time I'm going to draw something in the ground and up. I finish going up, my heels touch, my abductors are collecting my feet, and then my muscles in the side of my body take that leg to the next step. Okay? I know it feels like there's a lot of things that you probably didn't know. I thought like ochos, it was just like to go doing this. And it is. But now that you know how to do ochos, I want you to do ochos dancing. Do ochos a little bit in a more sophisticated way, in a more elegant way, in a more interesting way that is allowing you to realize that depending on how long the pivot is going to last, you can feel that space in time that has been created in order to fill it with movement that is coming just from you, that you're not receiving from the leader. In other words, whenever you have the chance to move your leg, your center, sometimes do playful things, it's your embellishment. It's your time. It's your opportunity to express yourself. And that is what dance is all about. When we are dancing tango, it's an expression that is coming from two people. But sometimes you have the ability to just say something just yourself. And I want you to realize when you can use that with this little thing I'm sharing with you today. Okay? So that would be the lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you practice, because you know these exercises, especially the last ones, are meant to just work all by yourself at home. And the moment that we are back together, which is hopefully coming soon, you're going to realize how interesting, how how easy actually it is when you understand intellectually what is happening in the movement. Okay? Well, thank you so very much for your attention. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Don't forget, we have a wonderful celebration of Women's Day tonight in our virtual Milonga at 7:30. We have invited DJ Rachel Sumner, and she's going to be talking about all the women involved in the tango history. And you cannot miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it usually is. And of course, don't forget to listen to the podcast. The podcast this week talks about Horacio Salgan, a wonderful pianist who's, I just discovered that his son is on Facebook. We were talking about him coming to our virtual Milonga, and eventually that will happen, hopefully soon as well. But it's a lot of fun. So listen to that podcast as well. It's going to be interesting to talk about it at some point. Well, thank you so very much, and I will see you in a few minutes.